Hello and welcome back to my Jurassic Classic course for the final time. Today we're going to finish the build exercise and the logic for this racetrack. Now to save time, I've already placed all of the plants and all of the toys that we're going to need, so let me show you those. I'm going to give you a good look at which ones I used and where they're all positioned. I'm going to start here on this little speed bump in the lava field, and all of the plants that I've placed are the first 9 plants out of the plants drawer. So when you come to the plants drawer, you start here. The first 9 pieces are the ones that I'm using here. And I'll show you which way they're oriented and how they're positioned. And then we'll style these a little later. But let me show you them unstyled first so that you can see which ones I'm using. And you can pause this video along the way and see where to position them if you're building this toy box yourself. The exact placement of these isn't that excuse me, sorry. The exact placement of these plants isn't that important, but I know some of you really like to see exactly where I've placed mine, and so that's why I'm showing you what I've got. And it might be better actually to start over on this little bit by the ramp. So I've placed a few more of these pieces here. Okay, these are the ones we've been using out of the terrain drawer. It's that piece there. And I've styled this to use the Dinosaur world theme. So I placed 2 of them on that side, 2 of them on that side to cover up the gap underneath the road, and 2 more over here. All right, and then we've got this little plant sitting over here. And this is as close as I could get to that. So that's where that starts off. And then I've got a couple more of those same terrain pieces here, styled to use Dusty Crophopper's runway. It's a nice rocky theme. And let me just kind of zoom out once again. And I know this won't be very exciting to watch for those of you who aren't building this toy box, but it's necessary for people who do want to build it, so that's why we're doing this. Okay. And then down here, between these plants that are off of the lava a little bit, I have put down these little pieces out of the terrain drawer. They're these little wide rock terrain blends. And they're styled to use the buried treasures theme the same as this. And that just provides a nice transition there from the lava. Players aren't really going to see that too much, but it was just too stark a contrast to have that without that. Now down here I didn't put that there because the player really isn't going to get a good look at this. But here they're driving right over that seam, so that made sense to put that there. I'll come back to those locators and the creativity toy in a moment. I've got a boost pad here. And again, that's located about there. And then we come up on top of the grassy terrain here. And let's see. Try to give you a good look at the orientation of these things. Again, you can look at the little purple flower that's here on the corner of this just to see how that's oriented. You can see how this is oriented. The little sprig at the base of this one, it's only on that one corner there. That'll help you determine how to orient these pieces. And the terrain seams, of course, will help as well. And the seam for those two plants there is right along the seam for this piece of road here. You see I've got those plants right along the terrain till we get to this corner, and that's where this one is positioned. And then on the other side, let me give you an overview of what's on this side of the road. We've already looked at those down that way. And again, don't worry if you don't get these positioned exactly where I've got mine. As long as you're pretty close, you're going to end up with something really similar to what I've got. Again, you can look at the racetrack starting line here to see where these are positioned out this way. Okay, so that's that upper area. And then we come to the swamp, and let's start down this side, I guess. We'll start on that side of the road. And the little sprig on this tree here is on that side. Same with that one back there. And you'll notice this one's kind of hanging off for the end of the terrain there, and that's fine. Again, the player is never going to get up there. At least not with a car. And let's see, give you a good look at this up here. I want to give you a good look at the little sprig location on that tall tree there. And then over here we got two long plants along the base of that, and those there. And there you go. Now it's important when you're placing the plants, because again, some of you place these exactly where I place mine, some of you do not. But some of you, if you want to just place them where you want, that's fine. Just make sure you leave some room open along the sides of the road, because these bumps are going to send you flying. So you'll notice I've got this whole area open over here. So there's no plants there. So the player, if they try to come around this turn and they hit these bumps, they're going to be coming out over this way. So you want to make it as easy as possible for them to get back on the road. You don't want to put a lot of barriers in their way. So likewise, this is kind of open over here, over on the outside of that turn, and on the inside too. because you just never know where those bumps are going to send you flying. So this is all open here on this side of the road and over on this side. So there's just a lot of room for players to be able to maneuver. Oh, and then we got a few plants up top here. Okay, and that's all of the plant placements. And before I forget, let's go ahead and look at the inside of the cave as well. So I've placed this piece out of the plants drawer, or out of the platforming toys drawer. It's the rock hammer pendulum, and that's sitting just as you see there. And I've got another one over here, and this is sitting right on the road as well. And for this one, I put a couple of pieces above it, just so it didn't look like it was floating in midair. And you'll notice the top edge of this is even with the top of those cliffs. And this, if I pick it up, this is the overhanging ledge out of the terrain drawer, and I've got two of these back to back. Once I put the ceiling on, that'll just look a lot better. This one I didn't do that with because I wasn't worried about it. As the player zips through this tunnel, they're never going to see the top of that pendulum, so that doesn't really matter. Okay, and then to style all of these, most of these are going to use the Dinosaur World theme. And so we're going to go ahead and style all of them to that, and then I'll show you which ones are different. So I will theme all. Are you sure? Yes. We'll give it a moment to do what it's got to do. And if you want, you can leave it like that. But I didn't like that along here because I wanted this to be somewhat open so they can enjoy the nice sky domes. We'll be changing those. And also out in the lava, these need to be different also. So out here, we're going to change these to use the Nomancian theme, which is the Nomancian Island terrain corner. And I will apply that. That's just a nice little rocky, lava rocky kind of object that helps the top of that not seem quite so flat and covers up that terrain seam. So that looks good. And then many of these out here are going to be the same way. So let's see, I think. Yeah. And I'll try to style all of the same shaped ones here, just so this goes a little faster. I don't want to scroll any more in that list than I have to. And not all of these are going to use this theme, by the way. Some of the plants out here are going to use the pirate theme, but we'll get there in a moment. And this just helps break up this really flat area here. And putting some of these on the seam there just kind of hides that flat edge of that as you're going along and racing. So that's the reason why we have those there. All right, then we have these over here. And one more, a couple more. All right, and then some of these along here are going to use that same theme as well. So we want the Nomancian Island terrain strip. We're going to skip one and do the next one. That same theme. And then we're going to skip 2. 1, 2. And on this side of this, we're going to do both of these. And then on this side of the rocks, we'll do the middle one here. And then over here, these will both be the pirate themes. So the rest of these over here on this side are going to be the Pirates terrain strip. And again, that just helps provide a nice edge to the toy box so you don't see the sharp cutoff. And it's low enough to the ground that you can enjoy the sky dome out there as you come around the corner. Okay, and that takes care of this area out here. All right, now coming up here, and once again, if you do not have the Dinosaur World terrain theme, any jungly plant theme will work. So Baloo's Jungle, that theme would work. The Pirates theme would work. Any of those would be fine. All right, let's start over here. Sorry for the little delay. I was looking at my screen grabs. So all of these along this rock face are going to use Pirate Terrain Strip. And it looks like I got a mix of these. This one too. Okay, so that takes care of that. You could leave the other there if you really wanted to. I kind of like seeing the vines on there, so that's why I did it that way. And then out over here, most of these are going to use Pirate Terrain Strip as well. So let's try to minimize the scrolling here, and we'll just do all of the ones that are the same. Okay. I'll come back to those other ones in a moment. And along the outside here, all of these strips are going to be the pirate strip. Again, that just helps not to block the view, but it covers up the sharp drop off there. You don't want it too obvious that the edge of the world is completely flat here. All right. So then while we're here, we're going to leave this one on the end because I kind of like that one. The rest of these will change. And I know how exciting this video is to watch. It's so thrilling. But I don't want to skip anything because I know some of you who follow along and build this in your own toy boxes really appreciate these extra steps. So, yeah, I don't want to just rush past this, especially with a race course, because these are some of the easiest courses to build and they're great for beginners, as I've said numerous times in this series. Alright, so there is that area. Now along the back over here we're going to do the same thing. So all of these running along the edge of the rock here are going to use the pirate theme as well. And really the purpose of that is to just break it up so you don't see the seam where the rock face meets the grass. This just softens that up a little bit, makes that nicer. Without this, it's just kind of an abrupt transition, having the rock face just sitting on top of the grass. Oops, gotta do that one too. Okay, there we go. All right, this is looking really good. And the last area we've got is the swamp. Let's get my screen grabs here. I want to make sure I do these right. Okay, so this up here. All right, and then looking over this way. Some of these are going to get done as well. Trying to save a little time here and just do the same ones, but okay, so this one over here. Now that one we're going to leave. And over here, we're going to change this one so we don't cover up that nice pretty waterfall. Want the player to be able to see those. Yep, that one too. And this one. And this one. That opens that up a little bit so you can see the waterfalls, which is good. All right, and then out here on the edge of this, Okay, and I think that's all of those. Alright, so now we'll go and change a lot of these back to the pirate theme. Again, we're just trying to open up that sky dome a little bit. This one. And here we're trying to help the players be able to see the road and where it goes. And where it doesn't go. Alright, I think that's all of them in the upper level. And we're just picking up the rest of them that we missed. Okay, this one we change. And this one. And there we go. That is all of them. Okay, that is it for the plants. Next, let's go ahead and put the ceiling on over here, and we'll be done with that. So we're going to set our terrain theme back to the Dusty Crophopper's Runway. I'll set that to be my theme. And then I'm going to pick this piece up and put it down. And we're going to grab this big piece right here. We want to make sure this is down on top of the terrain. We're going to need 2 of these. And that covers up the inside of the cave. Because we're done in there now. And that is it for the build exercise. The last thing we need is some logic. So let's start out over at the volcano. We have a level starter that I've placed out here ahead of time, and we have our erupting blocks. And on the erupting blocks, if we open up the properties for each of these, all of the default properties are fine, so you don't have to change anything there. All we're going to do is hook up the level starter to each of the blocks. So we're going to do a new logic connection on catalyze. We're going to start. And you're going to make that same connection for the other 3. New logic connection on catalyze. Start. So make that connection for this one and this one as well. And then when we start up the level, that will start the eruptions. Now over here we have smoke. And for that we placed a bunch of locators around here. And that's where the little dot is facing, is off over that way. Not that I'm sure that really matters. And the exact placement of these locators doesn't really matter. You want to spread them out a little bit though. And I'll show you where these are all at here. Okay. And then what you need to do is have an effects generator, which I've placed here out of the Creativitoys drawer. And on this you're going to do a new locator connection. And you're going to do that multiple times and hook up to each of these locators that are out here that I've placed. And then we go to our level starter We do a new logic connection on catalyze. And come over to our effects generator. And we want to start those smoke effects. So you're going to play looped out of the smoke category, the large area smoke. And this doesn't really obscure anything. That's really not the purpose of it. It's just this area looks so empty. And so having the smoke through here just kind of makes this a little bit more interesting to me. So that's the purpose of that. Again, the player will be coming through there pretty quickly, and the smoke's not going to have time to accumulate and really bog them down. Oh yeah, the boost pad. If you've missed the early part of this series, that's out of the racetrack pieces. Okay, and the last thing we have are the dinosaurs. And you can skip this part if you are building this in Disney Infinity 2.0, or you don't have the Good Dinosaur Power Disc pack. But if you do, I was thinking this is just really nice to help establish the prehistoric theme. And so I've connected up each of these to a corresponding locator. This is a vehicle summoner. It's out of the Gameplay Toys drawer. And again, you're going to do a new locator connection on that. Connect it up to the corresponding locator. That one connects over there. That's interesting. That one connects over there. It's odd how I did that. But I'll just show you where I've got each of these placed. And the idea is just to have some dinosaurs around the area to help reestablish the theme. But again, if you're building this on 2.0, you don't really need it. You don't actually ride these, they're just for scenery. If you are on 2.0, again, you will not have that power disc pack that you can use because the 3.0 power discs will not work for Disney Infinity 2.0. But you can use Tantor. He's kind of a good tusky elephant, looks a little prehistoric. You can use any of the other animals that you like. But let me come out of the editor there, and I'm going to put down a few of my dinosaur power discs. I can only do a couple of them here with that other disc on there. But there's 4 dinosaurs in total, and they all look a little different. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to do on the level starter a new logic connection on catalyze, and you're going to come over to each of the vehicle summoners. Once you've connected those to their corresponding locator, and then you'll look for the hexagonal power discs category, and under here you'll find the dinosaurs. So we'll use Ramsey for this one. And you can pick whichever ones you want. Try to mix them up a little bit though, not to have the same guy standing next to himself. You want there to be a good variety. But you're going to do that for each and every one of these vehicle summoners. Just put a dinosaur there. Use the level starter to do that. And the last thing you need to do then is move all the creativitoys below the terrain to hide them. So you'll move all of these down below, move the effects generator and the level starter. Just get those out of the way so you don't see those while you're racing. And then when you're done with that, you'll be all finished. So that's it for my Jurassic Classic racetrack. I hope you'll enjoy racing on this new course. Let me know how you like it after you get a chance to race it. The bumpy track through the swamp can be really challenging, as well as the road that runs over the lava. Next week, I'll be starting a brand new series for the Star Wars toy box that I previewed on May the 4th. I adapted that toy box from a story in the classic Marvel Star Wars comics from the early 1980s. The one that I used is called Screams in the Void. It's a really fun Star Wars adventure that takes you to a new location, which is a new hive of scum and villainy, and it includes an exciting space battle against an Imperial armada. If you haven't seen the preview trailer for that series yet, be sure to check it out. That's all for me today. Have a great week.